Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. I'm going to be talking a bit about Archon shards. Um, and while we ramp up into collecting them, as these are a very new thing, we haven't even gotten one of each color shard yet. Just sort of the philosophy I'm proposing to you guys for your consideration on how to effectively use them until we get full sets, because this is going to take a while. As of right now, we only have access to one shard a week, and we're coming up on the third week. Eventually, once you rank up Call's Garrison, you will be able to do two a week. But as it seems, the Tau Forge, the good ones, are going to be at most a once a week reward, if you're lucky enough RNG wise. Uh, so let's go over what they are first off. The wiki was updated. We finally see what they all are. More particularly, the part that was updated was whether they're additive, multiplicative, whether they work with exalteds, which is a big deal. So red is offensive. The Crimson Archon Shard, melee crit damage, primary status chance, secondary crit chance, ability strength, ability duration. Okay, so these are pretty straightforward. They're all additive. And they work with exalteds. So as far as I see, it's mostly what weapon you're using them on. The only consideration I would have is, say, the melee critical damage is obviously for combo builds and heavy attacks. Obviously, if you're running like some sort of melee primer or something for whatever reason, you're not going to care about this. Primary status is for bullet hose style weapons. If you're using something that's like a one bang kill, like the Kuva Shakur, this isn't going to help you. Unless you're RNGing, actually, it wouldn't help you with that weapon. Unless whatever you're doing is requiring on multiple hits. So for like the Tenora or say like the Bratton or like the Fenmore, where you require, in order for your damage to come out, you require status procs and you're shooting something multiple times. This is definitely a recent meta shift where bullet hose weapons have gotten significantly stronger. This will make them stronger quicker because you will be able to RNG and bullet hose all of the status procs faster now once this mod gets put into place. But if you're using a weapon that's designed to like one bang something, um, like say what is it the Stalta, the Kuvachakur comes to mind, like the Archoplasmor. These weapons don't benefit from status chance as much because they're supposed to one bang them. Now, obviously, if enemies start getting tough and you have to shoot them 2-3 times, you'll gain the benefit of it. But this is more for bullet hose weapons. Secondary crit chance, honestly, has some pretty interesting implications when combined with ability strength. Because you have stuff like Mesa, where these will interact multiplicatively with each other. They're additive bonuses, but they're affecting two stats that rely on each other. So there might be a pretty solid build with a secondary crit chance and ability strength. Red shards for Mesa, and ability duration also will help with drain in that circumstance. Then you have the yellow shard, which is the one we haven't gotten. Max energy filled on spawn. This is going to help with ESO. One second. Then the next one, which could potentially be pretty interesting, effectiveness of health orbs. I'm honestly pretty interested, and this is my thinking on this. I want to see the interaction of this with the synth set and equilibrium. If this in any way, shape, or form scales favorably with equilibrium, flow might be a thing of the past. just carrying energy on your frame at all might just be a thing of the past, because you could just run one or two of these and you could practically refill half your health or your energy bar. So I want to see how these interact. But obviously this is the shard that hasn't come out yet, right? The next one is Effectiveness Energy Orbs. Again, eating away at the usefulness of Arcane Energize, and could potentially loosen up some builds that are really, really reliant on Arcane Energize proccing. This could be straight up utility, which is a good thing because it's in the utility shard, right? So run like 2 or 3 of these and you can get rid of an arcane potentially. That would be massive. Casting speed. For the frames that have long casting animations, or you have one ability, like Styanax comes to mind, the casting time on his 3 is horrendous. You can literally die from casting it if you're not paying attention. Or you don't have rolling guard up, or you just out of complete habit and you're not thinking about like who's able to shoot you, you can kill yourself in game by not having enough casting speed. And I am personally right now running natural talent on Styanax just so I can get through casting his 3 faster in the middle of a while fighting. Parkour velocity. You are either a parkour junkie or you are a decorator in a dojo if you are going to run this. And if you're one of those people with the Nyx helmet that gives parkour velocity and you're decorating dojos, you want 4 of these Tau Forged to be able to decorate, and you will just fly around maps. That being said, this is all utility stuff. A couple of them have pretty interesting implications. I could see casting speed, again, on frames that have longer animations, freeing up mod slots, and the effectiveness of health orbs also. If, like I was saying, if that scales favorably with the synth set, flow and prime flow might just be gone from every build that I have. But it depends on how effective it is, right? Azure Archon Shard, the blue one. This is the first one we got. Health, as the current meta is shield gating, this would be more important on frames that, like Nidus and Anaros, where they health tank. Obviously, because this is additive, it counts like a mod. So 2 of these would be like a vitality, give or take, because that'd be 450, right? Because Anaros already has so much health, percentage-wise, 225 or 150 just wouldn't be that big of a deal. As hilarious as an 11k health Anaros is going to be. That being said, if it's Anaros, you would go armor, which is another stat on here. If it's Nidus, there would be an argument for hybridizing it. But that's going to be case-by-case basis. Then you have shields. I could see this being an effective stat on Styanax, because he gains something for having shields. But that being said, if you want to do higher level content, then the following applies to you. You're probably getting one tapped with shields anyway. Just being real. Like, that's one of the issues with Hildren, is she's super, super tanky, doing Star Chart and Steel Path stuff. But if the enemies climb in level and you can't CC them, like an Eximus unit, or a Thrax, then your shield's gone. Because now we have the Thrax in the game, which have a forced magnetic proc, and it prevents you from regenning shields for a bit. Obviously, you can arcane out of it, but we now have stuff in the game that forces you to change your build around it, right? Energy, I could see being a straight upgrade. You get a couple of these, throw like 1 on, and for energy, or like 2, and like a effectiveness of health orbs if that interacts with equilibrium, and you just never mod for flow again. Armor, same as what I said with health. It depends on the frame. To be honest, I would probably run a health per second, an armor, and a health Azure Shard on Nezha to start with as the default, and then adjust builds from there. But that's probably going to be my starting point, and then just figure out what I want from there. So it depends on the frame. Obviously, Nezha's 3 gains benefit from having more armor. So that would be my mind. So, okay, so now that we've gone over it, talked a little bit about how I see interacting. The big thing, and it's the reason why I wanted to make the video, is I'm already hearing talks about, like, what do I do with these and, like, what's the best. I need you all to calm down for a little bit until we get a bunch of these stacked up. And I mean this, until we get to the point where we have even the opportunity to have 5 reds or 5 yellows or 5 blues on one frame. Every single one of these is going to be patching a hole. If you have a frame, like, think about it. If you have, say, like a transient fortitude on your build, run if you want, if you don't have anything better to put it in. Don't think about the benefit of something just yet. Think about getting rid of a negative or making a negative less of an issue. The biggest thing I could think of in terms of a straight up benefit is like each stage of collecting these. So like right now we only have 2, right? And we don't have 5 of them yet. So I would be thinking of, say, like the issues with stripping armor now are significantly easier. Could I run 2 or 3 ability strength red shards and not have to mod for strength at all to achieve armor strip? Right? Like Styanax's armor strip. Because of the way armor strip is, it stacks additively with auras and multiplicatively with weapons. Would I be able to target 99% armor strip with a corrosive weapon and do like 99% armor strip with Styanax's 2, and then do like a corrosive heat build? Would do hella damage if it was on a bullet hose weapon. But that's the sort of stuff that I'm looking at now. Can I get over a specific strength amount if it involves a like an armor strip, like more easily hitting complete armor strip if I'm doing a viral build? You know what I mean? Because we don't have access to a full set of all of them. And the fact is, and I'm going to pull out a calculator here, 1 second, is we have 50 frames, okay? Each one has 5 slots. If we only got one a week, divided by 52, it would take almost 5 years. What's that, 4.8? So that'd be 4 years and 2 months shy of 5 to get shards for everything. Now, once you max rank the Call's Garrison, it looks like we're going to be getting 2 each week, unless they change it, which they probably will. If you wanted a full set of 5 on every frame, it's going to take you significantly more than 2 years. So in terms of like bouncing around, the resources, if you're later in the game and you're a higher MR, the resources aren't anything. It's just a nominal resource thing. But people complain about changing faction mods now. What is swapping out arcanes? Like, you're going to want something comfy, like a general buff. For now, I was able to RNG 2 Tau Forged. I was able to RNG 2 Tau Forged, and I got them on Protea. If I get another Tau Forged, or even the regular yellow one, I'm putting it as casting speed on Protea, and I'm taking natural talent off. You know, because that would free me up from using Matter Eye. Because I'm using Matter Eye for the casting speed, so I don't die when casting my 1. Because I'm using it for shield gating. So for now, when you mod for this, mod for patching negatives. Like Transient Fortitude, you have ability duration here. Could you potentially get away, if you really only need 40 strength off the Transient Fortitude mod, could you get away with running an Intensify and a red shard that gives you 10? You know what I mean? So obviously it depends on armor value or strength values you're trying to hit, especially if you get something for something specific. Like a strength Hildren is really beneficial if you get high enough, because it allows you to armor strip completely in one pass if you still want to do that build. But now, because of how the armor strip works, it's a lot easier to just cast Pillage twice with the augment up. But if you want to push for one armor strip, you can do that significantly easier now with a bunch of these. But if you're not trying to go for a specific strength value, like for Protea, I have the strength that I need. It says 65 shields, but when I have because she has the passive, where when she casts 3 abilities, the 4th one is empowered. I just always make sure to empower the grenade fan, and that gives me 115 shields a second, which is enough to shield gate. And because of how efficient the build is, I'm just constantly casting my 2. And it's a really comfy build. It's not level cap viable, but running around Steel Path and Star Chart Mission and like farming Kuva and whatever, it feels really good. But that's because I needed this strength plus the empower to hit that mark. Right? So I had to get something for it. So for now, don't worry about trying to min-max builds. We don't have enough tools to do it yet. Worry about patching holes. So like say if you're running Transient Fortitude and you don't have your mods upgraded all the way to where you can gain your duration back, you can run a red shard to give you some of the duration back that it's costing you. You know what I mean? So for now, until you start getting full sets, it's at least going to be another month before any talk, like serious talk outside of like theory crafting and whataboutism of a build is even going to be relevant. Because the fact is like say you talk about a build, the best builds are going to be full Tau Forged sets. How many people are going to do 5 Tau Forged the first 5 runs? Not many. Now there will be like just by chance, there will be a couple people that get that. But it's not going to be 5 red Tau Forged. It's going to be what? Red, blue, yellow, red, blue. They're not going to be able to min-max 5 reds. So the idea of like a true min-maxed build, it just needs to be left to theory crafting. Like it hasn't irritated me hearing this stuff, but it's just as soon as something comes out, the next and justifiably best thought is, what do we do with this? And then the next one is, well, what's the best build? And it's just I think it's way too early to talk about that. So just everybody calm down. Until we get through a couple rotations, at least for the first 5 shards. Just work on patching holes. Because as soon as I get the yellow shard later this week, I'm putting it on Protea and I'm doing casting speed. And I'm taking natural talent off. Because it fixes a long casting animation. And allows me to get a mod back. And I'll put range back on her. But for now, just work on Just work on patching holes. If you need a little bit of help, like say Trinity, for example, with the abating link augment, you need a really high amount of strength. Not an absurd amount, but I think you need like 223 strength to full strip. Well, you can do that with 2 mods, but if you had 3 red shards, you wouldn't need Augur Secrets. You know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't need to 2 or 3 mod something. You could take a mod or 2 off and get it this way. If you have 2 red shards, can you get away with 150 power strength and run an Intensify instead of running a Transient Fortitude? You know what I mean? Like, what can you get away with? Or do you want to run the Transient Fortitude with 2 duration reds? You know, it just becomes which is the best at that point. If you have 2 regular ones, 2 regular red shards, you could run 55 power strength with only a 5% duration hit. Or you could run 50 power strength with no duration hit. You know what I mean? Like, which do you value more? Do you want the 5% less duration but the 55 power strength? Or do you want 50 power strength with no duration hit? Which annoys you more? Then don't pick that one. You know what I mean? But we don't have those options yet. And we sure as hell don't have the option to min-max this thing. Like, if you're doing a melee build, just 5 red shards of melee crit damage. Like, we sure as hell don't have that. So for now, just pick something that makes the game a little bit more enjoyable, patches holes, maybe for the melee crit damage, primary status chance, secondary crit chance. If you're dealing with a Riven that has one of those as a negative, maybe use it to patch up the Riven dispo, like, or the Riven negative. God forbid you aren't using a melee Riven with a negative crit damage on a crit damage melee. Like, that literally wouldn't make sense. I'd say roll that shit first before putting a red shard on that gives you crit damage and keeping the Riven. Even if it's got 3 good positives, just get rid of that crap. But this would open up also running 2 red shards with melee crit damage if you have a really monster 3 positive, but it's a negative crit damage roll on it. So that sort of stuff, we're going to start figuring it out. But for now, for like the next 3-4 weeks, just everybody calm down. Just comfy picks, stuff that makes the gameplay better. The most exciting thing I see on here, honestly, has nothing to do with the shards that we've already gotten. It's the yellow one. Obviously, Protea is going to love casting speed. I've been playing the crap out of her recently, especially because of the new skin. Probably mostly because of the new skin, but I've really taken a liking to Protea. But the thing that I'm actually kind of interested in is I want to see on the effectiveness of health orbs. I want to see how that stacks with Equilibrium and the synth mod set. If I can run 2 amber shards with that, and a health orb is like 310% or 300% effective, does Equilibrium get boosted off that? Because if not, what is it? 50 health? 25 health? How much does a health orb give? Hold on. It's 25, right? Because I'm talking to nobody. It's 25. Yeah. Okay, so if I put 3 of these on here, and I make that an even 100, I want to know how that interacts with Equilibrium. Do I get 100 energy? Or 110 energy? Because if that's how it works, I will take off flow from every one of my builds. Especially since you get health orbs so often. Because if you got 3 of these, obviously each time you add this on, it's not going to be multiplicative, right? So you would add 3 of these to get 100 energy, or 100 health. If that then scales Equilibrium, I'm taking flow off of every build I have. And it would free up energy that way. It would be better to just run Equilibrium than to run the next one, effectiveness of energy orbs, because equilibrium's in the game. Which do you want it to scale off of? 100% or 50? You would just run equilibrium and get like some energy over here. Get like one or two of those. And it would be like the most energy sustaining build ever. So that's the sort of stuff that I'm looking at. Don't worry about the red one too much. Just if you got a Riven with a negative that you really like using, but it's got a nasty negative that pertains to one of these, obviously consider running it. Primary status chance right now with one single stat is probably the most beneficial damage boost on here if you're running a bullet hose or something that requires multiple hits to kill. So say like the Tenora is a really popular one right now. Like you have the Incarnon weapons, right? The Zeraman weapons. And maybe Mesa's regulators for this. But the fact is this is going to be competing 1-to-1 with the Prime mods. So I would stay until you get like a 5 stack and you can really jack that bonus up. Maybe don't worry about it for now. Just pick something else. But the status chance on primaries is probably the best one right now. And we got a blue one. I did health regen per second on Protea, just as like a comfy pick. Because shield capacity, the meta right now is shield gating for tanking and avoiding damage avoidance. There's no real meta for face tanking outside of like Nidus and Inaros. And even then, Inaros falls off. And at higher levels, as big as Hildren's shields are, eventually there just gets to be an enemy that can one-shot him. And Hildren loses the ability to cast abilities if she doesn't have shields. Now, obviously, you can operate her into it, you know, get your shield backs from regen, right? But if you're trying to like actively play and not do like the wait for something to happen, but you want to just like pound through something, I would say stay away from this one for now. Health, I'm probably going to use this on Nezha, and I'll do health per second, armor, and health, and do the health as the Tau Forged probably, like do Tau Forged, health and armor, because I play a lot of Nezha, and even though Nezha has innate, really, really heavy innate damage reduction, the fact is that there is a ton of bypass in terms of the damage going to the health. Right now, I think my Nezha can comfortably face tank like 1500s. But that being said, there just gets to a point where Nezha can't face tank anymore. So I would be looking to do that for just like a comfortable level cap run if I can potentially get that tanky. Because Nezha only has like 1300 health. What is it, 1337 or something with the Umbral set? If I throw this on, Nezha gets like 9% more tanky, right? Was it 10% is 1300? 10% of 1300 is 130. Okay, so Nezha would get like 15% tankier. Or 15% more effective HP. And provided there's no spaghetti code where the additional health doesn't scale Arcane Grace, it's just effective tank. Because there's so much damage reduction and so much armor on my Nezha already. Adding health would be more efficient for now. And then the energy per second, or the health per second, would allow the bypass to not hurt as bad. You know what I'm saying? So like it depends on the frame. But that's multiple shards down the road, which we are not at. So just everybody relax. I'm going to wrap this up. Pick stuff that just makes builds more comfortable to use if you have a nasty negative. Like think about like if you're running Blind Rage on a build, right? If you're running Blind Rage, could you get away with a Transient Fortitude and maybe ability strength? do you need the full 100 or can you get away with 60? Because you can get strength from arcanes now. So start thinking about that. So you're not dealing with the energy drain. You'd lose strength, but you'd gain a mod. Would that help you out? You know, that's my thinking right now. Because the full flexibility of this, having 5 of one color to really double down on a bonus, or I guess 5x down on a bonus, we don't have the capacity of it yet. So just for now, mod to patch negatives with the potential of patching bad ribbons for these 3 stats on these 3 weapon types would be the only exception. And if you're doing like a health tank, say like an Aros, 7.5 health per second. If you're running adaptation and he's got a ton of armor on him, that could potentially work also. But as is, just everybody take it easy on the level cap builds. We don't have enough tools in the tool chest yet to be talking about it. We'll figure it out. We'll put our noggins together. But just comfy builds, deal with negatives, deal with stuff that is impacting your gameplay. I run really balanced builds personally, where it's not a true full build setup. It's just comfortable builds, survivability, where it's weapon platform builds mostly. I have some exceptions, but that's my average build though. But just deal with negatives for now. Make things that can benefit you last a little longer. Like I did the duration, but it's because of the number of shots I get. Even 5 felt pretty good. It's an extra stack or 2, right? Depending on the punch through. So that's what I'm saying right now. So just everybody relax on like the min-maxing and saying like what's best, because it doesn't even matter. You're only going to have 2 Archon shards once. And then you're going to get a 3rd. And who cares about what you do when you have 2 Archon shards? The real building matters when you get 5 or more. And we're not there yet. So that's my PSA to the clan and alliance. Just take it easy. Have a blessed day. It's rare we get a new system like that. So everybody have a good time. Just chill.